Hi, everyone, and we're back with Season 2, Episode 1 of The Breakdown with Rothman Orthopaedics. I'm your host, Alex Hammond, and to kick off the second season, we're doing a very special visual podcast for this episode. It will be available on YouTube to view, and here's why. It's no surprise that Rothman physicians are some of the best in the world at what they do. But what you'll find surprising is a few of our physicians are exceptionally talented in the music department as well. So today we're lucky enough to get a firsthand look at Dr. Marc Harwood, Dr. Guy Lee, and Dr. Nicolas Taweel's musical prowess. I'd like to welcome in Dr. Nicolas Taweel, a podiatrist, Dr. Guy Lee, spine surgeon, and Dr. Marc Harwood, last but not least, sports medicine specialist. So I want to thank you all for joining us today on Episode 1. So before we kind of get into the fun stuff, I actually just want to give you all the opportunity to introduce yourself and, briefly tell us your story and how you ended up here at Rothman.
My name's Nick Taweel. I'm a podiatrist in the foot and ankle department. Non-operative, and I've been with Rothman for 17 years.
My name's Guy Lee. I'm one of the orthopedic surgeons that specializes in spine. We've been with Rothman about 7 years now. We were at a bigger group at Abington, and when Jefferson and Abington merged, it just seemed natural for us to all merge as one group, and so I've been with Rothman since then.
My name is Marc Harwood. I'm one of the non-operative sports medicine physicians, and I've been at Rothman for 20 years in some way, shape, or form. Some part-time and full-time as of 2009.
All right, so we got all the formalities out there, so this is kind of the good stuff that we're about to get into. So today we're here, we're talking about music. You guys all play instruments. So let's start. How did you all get into music, and who is formally trained here? Anyone formally trained?
No.
Sort of, I guess.
Okay.
I've taken some lessons, and I played in high school, played in the jazz band in high school, but I never went into a music program.
And what instrument do you play?
Played the bass. Started off on guitar at a very young age, and then switched to bass.
Okay. So not formally, but sort of a little bit in high school, we'd say. Okay. What about?
Me, I've never formally, no. I when I was a kid, I saw the Led Zeppelin movie, The Song Remains the Same, left there and bought a guitar the next day, and then just sort of learned myself over many, 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 many years. Now with YouTube, it's the greatest thing in the world. You can go in and get a lesson and learn anything you want at this point, but I've never had formal lessons.
Well, I was formally trained. I'm a classically trained violinist and pianist, believe it or not. That was back in elementary school, middle school, high school, and then didn't pick up any instrument through college, med school. And then my wife and I had just gotten married. My wife was in vet school. She was working, 18 hours a day, and I found myself getting really good at Grand Theft Auto, and wanted to put my time into something that was more productive. And I thought to myself, well, I can go back to music, but had really no interest in going back to violin or piano. So I bought a guitar, and next thing you know, it's 30 years later.
So how easy or hard is it to kind of just one day, pick up an instrument and then all of a sudden playing, like how to teach yourself how to play?
I think when you're younger, it's easier. And if you love it, when I was a kid, I had my guitar in my hand my whole life, every day. My mom thought there was something wrong with me. Seriously. She used to question what was wrong with me when I was a kid, because I always had it. It was something you liked, and it made it easier then. I think as you get older, it gets harder to even have a passion for something like that.
And my kids play music, and I can compare, and they're really good, and I can compare how they learned to how I learned. I learned in my bedroom, reading tablature, transcriptions of songs that I liked. There was no YouTube. There were no apps. There was my guitar teacher who, he looked like Andy Griffin, and just some old guy, I'm playing, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star and country tunes. Like he thought, Pink Floyd was an actual person,
It's not?
No.
Like Pink was the first name?
Yeah. It's
Okay,
some dude named Floyd,
Right.
So he was, my point is he wasn't teaching me rock. My kids, they were in School of Rock. They have teachers. They get up on stage and they play. There's YouTube videos. There's an app called Songster where you can learn every note for every song real time. And it's so much easier to learn now, especially with YouTube, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
But back then it was just all ear. It was all trial and error. And
lifting the album, spinning the album and keep on lifting it back so you could listen to it again.
Right.
And then do it again and do it again until you could sort of figure out what it was.
Or you would put your finger on the record to
And
slow it down.
Yeah.
And
Played
just listen to
it
and try to get it like that, But it was a lot harder. I think we'd be a lot better if we were.
lessons. Well, I wouldn't be a
Exactly.
surgeon probably. I'd be doing something different.
Right.
Well, this is a lot different than my experience because I came to guitar at age 30, or 31 or so. And learning guitar at that time, this was around 2001 or so. And Google had just come out. YouTube was on the horizon. So I learned similarly to your kids, but learned violin and piano from a teacher who was very dogmatic about things and kept telling me every week that I was wasting her time. So, the year, week after week, why do you continue to waste my time, Mark? Yeah, so I kind of come at this from both eras.
Which is there one you would say is better than the other? Like if I'm someone who's never played an instrument in her life. So what would be like one tip for if I decided one day just to pick up something that you would give someone?
I think do what you like. I think that as an adult, you have the luxury of picking what you want to do as opposed to what someone else says you should do.
Yeah.
And so as a kid, I was like, I'm going to play violin and piano. It's like, okay, I'm going to play violin and piano. Really didn't like any of it. But now with guitar, it was I picked that and that's what I like. And there are certain genres of music that I'm going to steer clear of. And there are other genres that I'm going to really embrace. So just pick something that you like and something that you're passionate about.
So let's talk about that. What is everyone's favorite genre to play?
For me, it's rock. I'm sure that's what most people get into guitar, because that's where you hear most guitar music is through rock of some sort, classic rock, newer rock, new wave, whatever they're calling it now, but probably rock for me.
Yeah. For me, it's rock, specifically progressive rock. I like jazz fusion. I like hard rock. I like some funk, like old school 70s, 80s. A lot of jazz fusion I listen to, but mainly progressive rock. I was in a progressive rock band before COVID hit, and that was my passion at that time.
I like to play blues.
Okay.
Blues, rock, yeah.
So you mentioned you played in a band. Anyone else kind of on, when you guys aren't practicing physicians in the free time that you do or don't have, who plays in a band?
I play in a band. I've been playing with guys from my neighborhood per se that we've played for. We've probably been 15, 20 years playing in a mostly classic rock or rock band, playing, the old rock songs at Beef and Beers and stuff like that.
Okay. So you're actually you're in a band and you perform type
Yes.
thing. Okay. Tell the people where can people find you?
Nowhere. COVID has shut everything down. We played a Broad Street run. We've been doing it for over 10 years now. We play at the corner of Broad and Vine, and it's a great day because it's been raining the past couple of times, but it's been canceled. This is now the third year. They just canceled it again. They don't want any spectators. I don't know. They want people to run in a mask, so that shut down again. But that was always sort of the big gig we did every year, was to play the Broad Street run. Because you have 30,000 people. I can always say I played in front of 30,000 people. Right. They're just running by you, that's all.
Who can really say that unless you're very much paid, musician?
Yeah.
So what about, do you play?
No, I don't like performing. I really don't. Okay. I like to just play on my own. I like to, create tracks and stack them and be an architect for music, and I just like to do it in my basement. And I play with random people every once in a while. I've played with Nick at one point, I think a couple times. But I generally don't like to I don't like to perform. This is as performy as I get.
Right.
Yeah.
So wait, so you do like a little bit of producing as
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
Nothing you would want to listen to.
I mean, you don't know. You might Again, we were just talking about the podcast. We need a new like music intro. So
That's right. There you go.
Maybe you can
there
whip
you
something
go.
up for
I'll
us.
put something together for you.
Thank you. So let's talk about how often would you say that you play? It could be casually or again when you do performances.
I probably own 40 guitars. I pick up my guitar almost every day. I bet you have it in my hand. When I get home, I have one in my living room. It drives my wife crazy because I leave them. But I almost every day I'll pick it up and at least sit with it for a little bit. It's almost like a security blanket, I think, because I've had it these guitars for so long. Doesn't mean to perform every day, but you sit there.
It's just something. So it's like something just for you to like kind of, like you mentioned, unwind a little bit.
I play the Jeopardy theme.
Oh.
I'm kidding. But
okay.
you just listen to commercials.
I was like, we're going to have to hear that later.
Well, I'm not as rich as him. I only have 35. I have 35 guitars,
I know. When you're
collect them.
40, that's when you're in a...
Yeah, but I binge play.
Okay.
When I look at over the past several decades, there were times where I just stopped playing because of my situation. And then I get into a band and now I have to learn an entire set of 30 songs. So obviously I'm practicing a lot.
Right.
Joined a band. We were recording, so I was busy with that. We did a project with
Rockin' Docs, which is a fundraiser. He played with my band.
Yeah, so I learn the songs. So I'm a bass player. Bass players need a purpose. I need to play with someone.
Right.
Guitar players can just sit alone and jam all day long, but bass you have to lock in with a drummer, and you have to lock in with the band. So I have to be with a band to be inspired to play. And recently there isn't any because of COVID, right. And our band sort of broke up because of COVID and other reasons, but mainly COVID. So when I get back into a band or some kind of project, I'll be practicing a lot. So I go from having blisters and calluses on my fingers to nice smooth fingers. I go back and forth.
Makes sense. So, question: do you both play? Separately, obviously, but are your bands like original? Like you guys do all original music, or is it cover bands? Or both?
I'm cover. We play. I have no interest in writing music at my age. I know I can play cover songs well. And when you play at a bar, you play at a Beef and Beer, people don't want to hear original music. They want to hear Tom Petty and the Stones and Zeppelin. They want to hear songs they know and can sing to and dance to. And they don't want to hear the crap that we have written. So I'm not really into it.
You're not in the business of making new music.
No,
okay.
No.
All right.
Not at all.
See, his band's different. He plays for VIPs. That's very intoxicated people. Okay.
And they think we're the greatest.
And they think it's greatest,
and that's all that matters.
So, my band, we did original material, and then threw in a cover here and there. And when I joined them, they had 2 CDs, and the second one sounded really good. I really liked the second CD they had, and we were working on a third, and COVID hit. So that's where we are.
So, what song would you say is like your favorite to play along with or play, just in general?
That's a good question.
It could be one of your original ones, if that's your favorite.
No.
Okay.
I find Stormy Monday fun to play along to, the Allman version.
Okay.
There's just something about it. It goes from major to a minor key, and there's a lot of things you can do with it.
How about you?
I love playing the song American Girl by Tom Petty. Mm-hmm. We play that at every gig we play at, and as soon as you play the opening chord, people start jumping up and singing the song. It's a great song. It's like 40 years old now, right? It's amazing. Maybe 50. It's been out for a long time. And people, kids, older, everybody still knows that song, so it's one of my favorite to play.
Probably Roundabout by Yes, Sir Duke by Stevie Wonder, Hemispheres by Rush. There's a lot.
All right. Pretty solid choices. So here's a little bit of a fun question. We kind of were talking about it offline, but what are your dream band names or best band names you've ever heard?
Does that have to be clean?
Someone.
I'm kidding.
God. I had a band name that got shot down.
Let's
thought
hear
it was
that.
good. Eargasm.
Okay.
Um,
Good for the ears.
good for the ears. I'm trying to think.
So I think the best band name is my band. My band we named it Rose's Cross, and we've been together for, like I said, for quite a long time now. But when we first started practicing many years ago, my wife's name is Rose, and we would practice in my basement to 2, 3 in the morning. And one of the guys in my band said, "Boy, this is really Rose's Cross." And I'm like, "Wow, that is a great name for a band." And that's how we sort of got it. And yeah, so that's.
How does your wife feel that?
She loves it now. She hated it back then. She hated with the keeping everybody up. I would go upstairs and there'd be pillows on the doors. My kids would have the doors closed and have stuff in front of it so they couldn't. And usually because of the drum and the bass, because they make the most noise.
Well, I was playing with someone, and it was just 2 guitars, and we were like, we should form a band. Well, we don't have a bassist, so we called ourselves Treble.
You know what? Now that you think of it, I have on my phone in my notes a list of band names.
Okay.
I'm going to pull it out.
Let's see it.
Because every time I'm inspired by a band name, I put it down.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find it. Why don't you talk while I...
All right, so we'll do that. How about, let's see here. Dead or alive, who's the one person or group you would actually like to see live? Switch it up a little bit.
I would say for me, Led Zeppelin.
Okay.
That's easy for me.
And
Because
that's your
John Bonham
inspiration?
died in like 1980, I believe, when I was in high school.
Okay.
And so immediately was the end of the band. Nowadays, somebody dies and they just pump somebody else in there and they just keep
know.
on going. It's crazy. But there doesn't seem to be any loyalty to people anymore. But yeah, that's probably the band I would see again, if I ever could.
All right.
The band that I'd like to see. Well,
Dead or alive.
dead or alive.
It could be person as well. Person or a group.
Well, that's a good question. I would like to see certain bands that I saw, but in their heyday. I'd like to see Yes in their heyday in the early 70s.
When it was one band. Now there's 2 Yeses.
Right.
Which is the problem.
Yeah.
Do they both tour still?
Yeah. So you don't
So
know
who
which
do you-
one.
yeah,
you
like-
don't know. You got to
Oh.
you got to look ahead of time.
Is
to
it kind
see
of
which
like
one
the
is.
the understudy type thing?
Well, it's the band split, and now they each have rights to the name,
Yeah.
so they just tour under the same name.
But
It's crazy.
It's like a grab bag of band members.
But it's like a tribute. That's what I'm saying. Like, you like to see these bands in their heyday.
Right.
But that's what I'd like to see.
How about you?
Yeah, I would like to have seen the Dead in '77, like Grateful Dead '77, or Jimi Hendrix, of course. Back in the day.
No explanation needed. All right. So, did you find?
Yeah, I
find this?
did.
Let's see. Let's hear what you got.
Yeah, I got the other one wrong too. It's the other way around. It's 3 blanks and a nice guy. So there's
right.
only one nice guy.
One nice
It's
guy.
only one nice guy.
And we're trying to figure out who the nice guy is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some of these are so stupid now that I see it. Okay, so the Side Johns. I thought that was a good name for a band. The Side Johns. Elmo Blatch would be a good name for a band. That's the guy from Shawshank Redemption, the crazy guy that actually was the murderer. I thought that'd be a good name for a band. Bad Naked. 5 guys named Mo. Fresh 24. That's like from basketball, like when the shot clock is. I thought that.
Wait, what's the five? Can you just where
Five-
did that come from?
It's a song actually. I think that's a big band song, isn't it? 5 guys named Mo.
I think so.
Yeah, from like the 30s. So I thought it'd be kind of a cool guy, but you'd have to have 5 guys in the band.
Right. Name Mo.
Bone on bone. It sounds bad, but it's orthopedic. It's arthritis, and also Spitting Vicryl.
Oh.
That's a great name for a band, right? Spitting Vicryl.
Look, there's a band named Anthrax. named
That's
after
right.
The disease,
yeah, well,
so,
Vicryl is dissolvable suture. So when it comes out of the wound, we say it's spitting. It's spitting Vicryl.
So now you need to make sure that you update all your stuff that it's like orthopedic related.
Yeah, and there's others on. Some of them is so stupid. Bury the shovel. What the heck was I thinking? Bury the shovel. What the heck was I thinking? Anyway, yeah, and there's others on here, but
All
I'm
right.
not gonna.
I mean, those definitely sound like band names, but thank you for sharing. We look forward to like the next round of like, names that you come up with. So please make sure
it's a running list.
Yeah, please keep sharing with the group. So before we actually move into like the rapid fire, so how do you think your patients will react once they find out that you play an instrument, or do they already know? Like, does it kind of give you like cool status? Like, does it kind of go up, or is it kind of like, I know you've mentioned like some of your patients have like sought you out.
They come in all the time and say, with Google, people usually Google the doctor, no matter what they're having done ahead of time. And then stuff comes up about the band or stuff on YouTube. And I can't tell how many people come in and say, my uncle plays in a band, and that, to try to get a connection, which is interesting because there's such an attachment with music with everybody. Really, everybody loves music to a certain extent. And I have people all the time come in and talk to me about music, and so it's really common that I've seen.
And sometimes you could tell a patient plays music by the words they use, by certain jargon, and I bet you this guy plays, and you bring it up to him,
right?
And now I'm like 15 minutes behind.
I was gonna say, is this the reason why you all are behind?
Yes,
like because then you find that
you start talking.
If you're wearing a Led Zeppelin T-shirt, I'm going to talk to you for an hour.
But here,
cancel the rest of
the day. I had a patient that I guess I'm not going to mention his name, but I will reference him. He was an older gentleman, and he played in the Philadelphia Orchestra, and he was 90. And I said, "What did you play?" And he said, "I was first chair in upright bass." And I said, "Wow, that's like Philadelphia Orchestra. That's like a big deal." So I said, "I sort of play, I didn't even want to say to him that I played because this guy was the real deal." And he just he was a pretty quiet guy. And then he just woke up and we started talking. And he said, "What do you like to play?" And I said, "I like jazz fusion, all this and that." And he says, "Who do you like? What bass players do you like?" And I mentioned 3 of them, and one of them was Stanley Clarke. And he said, "I taught him." And I said, "What?" He's like, "Yes." He said, "I taught him upright bass because Stanley Clarke was in Philadelphia." So, okay. So I go home and I pull out my Stanley Clarke records and I read the back of it. He thanks him on every one.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh my God.
Wow.
Like, this is amazing." Just stuff like that. That's really
awesome.
cool.
Love that.
Yeah, no, I think that you can tell by what patients tell you. Sometimes they explicitly say, "Look, my shoulder hurts, and I'm a bassist, and I can't play an F. I can play higher up on the fretboard, but I can't get all the way out." And that usually spirals into a 20-minute discussion about gear and guitars and whatnot. But my patients generally don't know because I'm not really out there as a guitarist. They'll know now, but my patients generally don't bring it up to me. But I generally, I always try to find something outside of the reason for the visit to talk to people about and to kibitz about, and music's a really easy one.
Yeah.
Music's really easy. Someone comes in with a Fender T-shirt, and we're off to the races.
Or a band. Yeah. That's even the best.
Yeah.
I had one patient. I'm a huge Rush fan. I had one patient. She came in. She had a boot on, and she took the boot off, and she had Rush socks on. Yeah. And it's the same pair I have too. I'm like, okay, we're gonna get along.
The same pair?
Well, no, I'm sorry. Oh. Not the same exact pair. Okay. Same exact pair.
It's like, where do you buy these socks?
No. But and that was really cool.
Great. So before we kind of wrap up the interview portion, I want to do a little bit of rapid fire. So it's just fun, really quick hitting questions. Don't have to think too long. It's really just the first thing that pops in your head. So you can kind of keep it short and sweet. So sound good? All right. So first concert you ever went to?
Yes, 1979.
Yeah. Rat and Billy Squier.
Air Supply.
No!
Valley Forge Music Circle.
Good guitar player.
So I know I mentioned earlier about who you would like to see, but who is the one person or group you'd like to play alongside with?
Foo Fighters for me, since they're new and when they're not up and coming, they're old, but what a great band they are.
Rush.
The Dead and Company.
All right. Consistent. Last one. If you could play at one venue, which would it be? Could be anywhere.
Easy. That's a Spectrum. When it was the Spectrum.
Keswick Theater. It's my favorite theater. So
Okay.
I like Red Rocks.
All right. Pretty solid. So we're gonna next portion, we're gonna head over to the other side and kind of give you guys a chance to jam out a little bit. But before we go, this is like your elevator pitch. So is there any last words before we finish this portion that you would like to tell anyone, fans? Words of advice for anyone picking up an instrument?
let's have fun.
Yeah.
Just
And don't spend a lot of money on it, the first one, in case you lose interest and you wasted some money. But you wanted something nice. But I see even my friends, they go and they spend $3,000 on a guitar and play it once, and then they just never get into it.
yeah, then
So
you can
something
buy
nice.
it cheap. You see,
I'm
so
gonna buy it real cheap.
yeah,
I'm gonna get
so-
it from.
exactly.
That's all I need is another guitar.
41.
Oh yeah.
No, I mean, I just think that music is a really great way to turn off the analytical brain that you use all day long.
Yeah.
Right. So all day long it's gathering information, making decisions, and by the end of the day, I just have such decision fatigue, and music is a way to get all of that out of the way. You just play, and your brain oftentimes gets in the way. Like I know that I'm going to go in there, and my brain's not off enough to be able to function very well. But usually after about half hour or so, you could just make things happen.
Yeah, it lights up the whole brain. Right side, left side, all parts of the brain. It's the best thing you can do.
I actually do have one question before we get out here. Do you all have like a favorite instrument, and does it have a name? Like, is there one instrument that's like your go-to, or the one that you just kind of held high standard?
I haven't named it. I have a Paul Reed Smith guitar that I bought as soon as I finished my residency, and I could actually afford, because you have nothing when you're a resident, and the minute I got my first paycheck, I went out and bought a really nice Paul Reed Smith guitar, and I've had it for over 24 years now, and that's a guitar I play all the time, most of the time.
So your first one.
Yeah.
First, like,
Well, I
one
have
that...
guitars.
Right.
I still have the guitar I
First.
bought when I was a kid, when I was younger. I still have all the guitars I've ever gotten. But now, at a point, you can get nice ones versus, junky ones.
Yeah. Well, my guitars were named after ex-girlfriends, but they're now all named Joanne,
Who's Joanne?
my wife.
Okay, cool. She likes that better.
Yes.
Yeah, my favorite's the guitar I got it in there, the Strat. It's just a classic instrument. You can make it sound like just about anything with the right pedal mix and the right amp. I just love it.
Awesome. So want to thank all three of you for being here today. Our first kind of in-person special video version of our podcast. So I think we'll exit and then head over and hear you guys play out a little bit. So thank you again.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We'd like to thank Dr. Taweel, Dr. Harwood, and Dr. Lee for joining me on this episode today. Please visit our landing page, rothmanortho.com/podcast for all available episodes. We're on Spotify, Apple, and Google, as well as a few other listening platforms. And don't forget to check the special episode out on our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share on whatever platform you utilize. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, take care.